Hey y'all, it's Christy from Teadoddles. I'm here with another sewing tutorial for y'all. This one is about how to even out your hem. This is pertaining to my knit shirt that I'm making. You can utilize this for other fabrics as well. Knits are a little bit trickier because they like to stretch out. But first, let's say welcome new subscribers, welcome back subscribers. I'm happy to have you here with me in my maker shenanigans. I do like to do the sewing things, the yarny things, and the DIY things, so you'll see a little bit of all of that here on this channel. If you like to make things, you might like it here. All right, as you can see, my hem is very wonkly, if that's a word. Cattywampus, wompily. It's crooked. It's real crooked, y'all. I've laid it out on my grid, which looks crooked on the screen. I'm gonna try to straighten it out. Okay, there we go. That looks better on screen. And you can't see the top of my shirt, but remember I had that seam at the top, which I did refinish. I'm keeping it as even across there as I can at the top based on my grids, right? If you don't have a big mat like this, you can do this. This is the easiest way to do this if you have a big mat, because you can use the grid to get a more accurate measurement. Now, a lot of people will hang this up on a mannequin and trim it around like that, and you can do that. If I do have a mannequin, this is the way I prefer to do it, just because it's easier for me to see what I'm doing, and I can cut both sides at the same time. Now, if you wanted a different hem on the front than you wanted on the back, you would definitely want to hang it on a mannequin. I'm gonna curve this hem, and so it's higher on the sides and lower in the front and the back. That's what I decided to do with this shirt, and I did try to make sure I could do that, because I got to cut off stuff because I got some weird unevenness over here, and this whole thing's crooked. So I'm using this styling design ruler, which it's not necessarily for this, but that's what I'm using it for. It has notes on here. Armhole curve, use 13 to 25, and that's if you're trying to correct your armhole curve. And it says hip curve, use 1 to 17. So I have this centered between 1 and 17 for this curve, and I have it centered on my shirt. I went in from the sides, so I found the center, and then I have the center of 17. It's about right in here. And I've laid this. I gotta straighten this out though, y'all, because this is, there we go. I'm trying to look at, and if you need, yeah, it should be more even with the 7 line. There we go. You need something to help you level this out too. I just eyeball it. Nobody's looking at how straight your hem is when you're walking in a shirt. You can't really tell. Unless it's a very crisp, finished shirt, like a cotton shirt or something like that. You'll notice it more in those kind of shirts. All right, so I'm going to use my little tailor's chalk here. I'm going to start drawing my line. My goal is to come up to this line here, which I don't think y'all can see the number on there. On my board, it's 5 or 19, depending on which direction you're coming in from. And so that's what I'm going to make it match up to. So I'm going to just start drawing my line. I'm going to hold this. I just do little dashes usually, because knit, like you can see, is stretching. Trying to do it a little bit at a time. This edge is, and I'm just marking where I'm going to cut. Let's see. Yeah. I don't know if y'all can see those markings, but you know what? Let me see if I can use this other thing I got. Let's try this little thing and see if it works a little better. This is also has chalk in it, but it has this little turning wheel that makes a line as it turns. So this may work a little better for what I'm trying to do. So it will put my, oh yeah, think that is going to work much better. So there's different options. If you find, I'll put links to both of these down below. Just depending on what you're working with and what you're doing. Oh yeah, that made a better line. I don't know if y'all can see that from, I figured out how to zoom my camera out while recording, so y'all can hopefully see more of what I'm trying to do. All right, so now I'm gonna come over here and I need to find, I want it to end at this line. And I need to try to kind of blend it together. So although I went up higher here, it might not need to go up that high to blend the best. So I'm gonna find a spot that I figure blends fairly well and redraw my line. Yeah, see? So it didn't have to go up as high. This stuff will wipe off, it's fine. So sometimes it's good to find your center point and just measure from there. And I need to flip this over the opposite way so I will have a better look at making these match. All right, there we go. This needs to come up. I can't go below where the low part is, so let me adjust this. Alright. So this is kind of you're marking. Alright. I came across close enough to that shortest edge. And it's looking pretty good. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if y'all can see that. Let's see if we can zoom in for a minute. Nope, because that's zooming too far on the fabric. So, but I've got my lines marked. And now I'm going to cut it. I'm going to use my shears to cut it versus this, only because I don't want it stretching or pulling. It can stretch or pull with it. Well, it doesn't always. Let's just try it. Sewing can be an experiment. I think this will be fine. I'm going to cut along that line that I drew. I'm going really slow. There we go. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Look at there. I'm always delighted when things work out like I planned them to. Because sometimes, although I try to practice things before I record, some things I can't redo, so I have to do it on camera. So this looks pretty good. It's pretty even if I eyeball where my grid is and everything. So now my hem is even. I couldn't align my seams, so I had to do this overlap with my seams because my back is bigger than my front. I made it bigger so I have a little more room in there. So now, let's just see. Now, I can serge, what I'll do is serge the edge of this and then use that as a guide to flip up to make my hem. If you don't have a serger, that's fine. You can use your regular saw machine, and I usually like to use a 3 or a 5, usually a 3 size stitch on knits, this lightweight. Just make a line so far from the edge around it, using your knit foot, using your knit needle. Knit foot just keeps it from stretching so much. If you're using a regular foot, you're going to want to slow down if you have a lead foot like I do at the sewing machine. The knit foot really helps you slow down, and don't pull on it or push on it a lot because it's stretchy. Just remember that. You just lightly guide it through the machine. So I'm going to go do the serge, and then I'm going to show y'all how I fold up the hem, and then we'll talk some more about finishing the hem. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all. I don't know what's going on. If the sewing gods, or whatever you want to call them, or I don't here lately. Anyway, so I have half of this serged because one of the threads ran out on my serger while I was doing this, which I should have checked before. Then I thought, okay, I'll just show y'all on half of this how to do it with a regular stitch. Find a pair of scissors. I got 10,000 of them. And then when I got almost to this end, my needle broke for some reason. I really don't know why. So yeah, this is what we got. This is what we're going to work with. I'm going to show you how I would do it on the serge side, and I'll show you how I'll do it on the mostly regular stitched side. So I would take this, and a lot of times, sometimes the serger can ripple your hem really bad. So I would just hit it with an iron. Let me do that right quick. Off camera. I have to pull my iron over there. I just want to show y'all it irons out pretty flat when you do that. So there you go. See, it'll iron out fairly flat. If you adjust your serger to the weight of your fabric, it doesn't do that as much. I just most of the time I can't be bothered because I'm lazy like that when it comes to sewing sometimes. But I just go along and fold this over. What this does for me, it gives me a better line of sight for this hem. Now if you really wanted it to be narrow, you could use that as an edge and then roll it again. But I don't want it to really be that narrow. I'd rather have it a little bigger. So I would just fold it over just like this. Hit it with an iron, and then I'd flip it again. Hit it with the iron again. And then I'm going to put 2 rows of stitching on this one. You can use a double row of stitches with a longer thread length. I'll probably use 3.5 on this one. Or you can use a zigzag stitch. And then if you have, my sewing machine has some different stitches that are better for knits that kind of go back and forth. It has a zigzag stitch that has multiple stitches within the zigzag. It just gives you more stretch to your garment. My serger also will do, what do they call that? I can't get the word to come out now. Where it'll do this and stitch the 2 top stitches at the same time, so it doesn't cut the fabric. I just haven't figured out how to do that yet. So it just hasn't been done. So that's what I would do on the side that I've serged. This side is going to be very much similar. I am a little further from the edge. Usually I would fold right along that stitch line, and it just gives you a guideline while you're ironing, and then you can just flip it up, and you won't see that from the outside, that stitch line. So that's what I do for knit hems. Now I would also do, I have threads everywhere. For my armholes, I will also serge around them and do very similar, but I'll probably not do, I might do a smaller hem or something, but it'll probably be close to the same size for this shirt. You can do 2 different size hems. Your armholes, it depends on what they are, how they're made, how you want to do it. I don't want to go too much of a hem on here because, you know, you don't got much of a arm on this the way it's made. Now when I get ready to do this, I'll do it differently because I have binding for it that I cut. This is, one's for the front, one's for the back, and I'll stitch these together. I'll do another video about finishing the neck because it's a little different. You have to do it a little differently because it tends to stretch more, and it will stick out weird if you don't do it right, because I do it all the time. I don't take my time to do it right. So I'm going to take my time to do it right and show y'all a video of it so y'all can do it right as well and not have a shirt that has a standing neck because you didn't put it on properly. You didn't put the facing on properly. You have to stretch. This is one thing you do stretch as you put it on. It should be slightly smaller so that when you fold it in, it pulls it in, versus if it's the same size when you fold it in, it's going to stand out. Your collar's going to stand out. Okay, so I'm going to iron this and then show you how it looks. So, well, I'll show you how it looks sewn. I'm going to try to show you how it looks sewn. I got to get my other needle in it, and hopefully this thing doesn't stop on me before I get done, because I don't know why my needle broke, but it did. But I'll be back in just a second. Okay, y'all, my hem is finished. If you saw some weird little blips in between the last segment and this segment, because I was trying to keep my camera from stopping recording, because when I put it on pause, it'll do that, because otherwise I have to get my son to splice it together, and I was trying not to have to do that. Okay, so here is my hem. It looks all nice and pretty. It looks not that great on the inside. I missed some of the hem. You can see I like to show things like that because I know there are some sewists out there, especially if you're new, you can get frustrated when things like this happen. I just go with the flow, y'all. It's not really gonna bother me. If it becomes an issue, I can add a third stitch in between all those if I want to. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. And as you can see, I wanted to show y'all. You see, this does stretch. It doesn't have as much stretch as the fabric does without it being sewn, but it has some stretch to it. That's because I put that longer stitch in it. I'm just going to show y'all how much I miss this hem going around. I don't know. I am having issues with sewing today, and I got a little bit wonkly right there, but I can iron that and it'll be just fine. So if you're looking for professional sewing advice, where it's all prim and proper, this is the wrong place for you. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, because I know how to sew things together, and I know a lot of techniques, but sometimes I just go with the flow, and I don't. See this right here? I'm going to hit it with my iron. And by hit it, I mean I'm going to iron it. I'm not going to hit it, like, because I'm mad at it. All right, so that did not help, did it? Okay, so that is how you hem it. I had so many issues with this shirt. I don't know what it is lately. My sewing has took a left turn for some reason. Every time I sew, I have issues. I think I'm going to go sit on the couch and crochet. But hopefully that gave you some advice on how to finish your hems on knits and how to finish your curve. I am going to put this in timeout and go watch some Netflix, I think. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and hopefully you actually learned something, even if it was what not to do. I will see y'all in the next video, and y'all remember to have a life lived creatively. And also, if you have any questions, as always, you can leave them down in the comments, or you can email me. My email is always down below. And yeah, I'll talk to y'all later.